All right, testing this thing now. Try number 3. Let's see what happens. All right, I think this works now. All right, here we go. All right, finally. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry for the delay, but we are starting. All right, that's fine. We just check a few more things, and everything seems to be in order. That's good. All right, it's fine. All right, then. As soon as Max starts up, we can start with the modeling. Container house. All right, Max is started up. Okay, so we're gonna start where we stopped in the previous part, or the first part for the streaming session, and I was gathering up the reference images. We got a really nice collection of images here, like all of the different designs. And the great thing about having a design like this is the fact that they are all originating from just a simple box, like you can see here, one of these containers. And this thing translates really well, and since it's a very practical way of building, you can just slap on whatever you want on the edges of the house or the walls. You can get a really different result. But before we do any of that, we would have to go ahead and actually design or create a base for our building block or our container house. So for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with the technical specs for the shipping containers. As you can see here, we got 3 different tech specs. The one is for the 20 feet shipping containers. These are generally for smaller ones. They have the double one, or the 40 feet shipping containers. You can see all the measurements here. And then you have the 40 feet high cube shipping container. Now, these are the best when you're building houses, because mainly it's more or less the same length and width as the 40 feet shipping container, but the height has a bit more. So instead of having 2.6 meters, you get about 2.9 meters. And those 30 centimeters are great as an addition, so you can get a bit more space for the roof, and you can put in isolation and stuff like that. So we would be creating this thing, the 40 feet high cube shipping container, as well as I'm gonna actually have a version of it where it's, I'm gonna have a 20 feet shipping container. That can be used later on, so we can just like pile up a couple of those. All right, so for this, I have actually started up at just creating a scene, and this here placeholder, as you can see it right here, is just the right dimensions as what we saw previously. So if I go in here and I check with my reference size for this thing, you're gonna notice that this thing has a length of 1203.5 centimeters, and that is more or less down to a millimeter of the actual size, because here well, it's set down in meters. But if I check it over here on this image, I can actually see that everything in here, like the length, the width, and the height, everything is down to a millimeter. So we have for the height 2,896, and that goes to 2,896. There we go. I put it in 600. All right, 2,890. This is height. Did I screw this thing up somehow? With two. Oh, all right. Well then, I've probably screwed up this a bit, because what I've done is I went in and I took in the internal size. So this is basically what you're seeing here is how much space you're gonna have inside this building container. So let's go ahead and do this thing for the outer container, or the external one. So the length here, I'm going to put this to the side. The length is 19.2 millimeters, like that. The width here is 243.8, and the height is 286, so 289.6. All right, so now with this thing, if I compare it to this thing, we have the external size for the container. All right, so once we have this, we can use this thing as an actual placeholder. So I have placed it in a layer of its own. Is a placeholder like that. It's fine. All right, so from here now we can start slowly building up this thing. I'm going to start off by actually visually comparing these containers and just try to get an idea of how they're built. And what I can notice is that these containers are actually made so that they can be stacked on each other. And since they can be stacked on each other, that means they're going to have a greater stability, or structural stability. But in order for that structural stability to be translated, they need to be stacked one on top of the other on the pillars. So the weight, the common weight of these containers is basically constrained through their pillars, which means the pillars are the hard points for this thing. So it's basically, think of it as a box which has very, very sturdy corners. And these corners are made out of steel. So knowing this, let's start and actually try to mimic that thing in here. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use the placeholder just so I can have a starting point, so I don't have to start from scratch or from nothing. So I'm going to select all of my elements, like all of my edges. So select edge, Control A to select everything, and go to create shape. For the create shape, I want to go linear and call this beams. Go OK. And now I can actually hide the holders, and what I'm left with is these lines. So what I want to do next is I want to give these lines a bit of thickness, or a bit of geometry. So in order to do that, I'm going to make them renderable and enable and render in viewport and make it rectangular. Now I want this thing to be 15 centimeters by 15 centimeters. So we have beams which are the size 15 by 15. As it is like this, it's actually okay, but the thing here is that if you take a look at our reference image, you're going to notice that at the corners of all of these, let's see, yeah, here, you can see that at the corners we have this metal box which has these cut-ins, or like cut holes. Come on, let's just find one. Really? Yeah, there you go. You see this thing here? It's basically where all of those three corners meet. And what happens here is that when these boxes are stacked one on top of the other, they can be connected in there, and that is going to give us even more structural stability. So I'm going to try to incorporate that into our design. And in order to do that, before I actually start modeling, what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead, select all of these edges here and break them off, and then select, really? All right, so that's broken off. And next thing I want to do is, that's broken off. next thing we want to do is select these guys and break these off as well. All right, that did not work as planned. Break. No, I don't want to break. I want to detach. Jesus. All right, this thing is done. So these guys. So I'm going to detach as separate elements. Detach this thing as separate element, like so. All right. So now when I turn on the enable and rendering viewport, I get these as separate beams. I'm going to get these as separate beams and these as separate beams. Awesome. So I can control them individually. Now, before I continue on doing anything else, I'm going to just do a very small correction in this thing. So I'm going to put on the edit poly. So I basically convert everything that I've just selected into editable poly so I can work with it. Make sure I select the corners here and here, here and here. I just want to remove those edges, so control backspace. Remember, every time you create a spline and you put a turbo smooth, or not a turbo smooth, but an edit poly on top of it, what happens is simply that one of these corners is going to have turning point for where one of the edges is going to connect the corners. So like that, control backspace, remove that thing back, and there we go. We just fix those, and Bob's your uncle. Everything's gonna be fine. There we go. Put on edit poly, remove that and that. There we go, remove those. Awesome. All right, so, and this isolate. All right, awesome. Now what I want to do is put on my holders, like this thing. I'm going to turn off the see-through. And now what I'm trying to do is I want to go in here, select my edges. So now, just so I make it a bit more visually appealing, so I'm going to select just the corners here and select this thing and snap over here, and then snap on the Y down there, snap Y up there, and snap it right on the X axis, snap it right there. All right, so now as you can see, this thing that which is supposed to like give us the idea where this thing is supposed to have the outer size is more in line with where our beams are going to be. So all right, and isolate, and let's just do the same thing with the corner ones. Again, in this case, we're going to select these edges on the X, snap there, snap on the Y, snap down there, snap in there, and just do the corners as well. Just make sure it's on the X. There we go. This should fix our thing. All right, do that. And the only thing that's left is this corner. I just do it on the top viewport. Select those edges. Oops, go on the Y. Click on the Y. Move it downwards. Snap in there. Click on the X. Snap in there. And just the last thing you want to do is snap this thing in here. And with this last move, we're going to have everything lined up to be the right size. All right. Okay, and isolate, and we have our placeholder in right All right, so I'm gonna hide my Scene Explorer there, and great. All right, so what we have here is now this thing is sized up right. So now we just need to add in the corners here, which are gonna have those holes in it. So first I'm gonna actually save this thing as such, and now what I'm gonna do is go in here, and knowing that this thing is well, at least these things are about 15 centimeters across. This means if I create a 15 by 15 by 15 box, it's going to squeeze right in here. But the thing is, I want to have about a centimeter on each side. So I'm going to try and do a 16 by 16 by 16 and see how that thing is going to work. So let's just go ahead and create a box. Let's give it a 16 centimeters by 16 by 16, and snap this thing right here. All right, that's fine. All right, so now I want this thing to move on the X, in this case negative X by 1 centimeter. -1, and I want it to move on this side for 1 centimeter, so Y +1, like so. And on the Z, since this is 16 centimeters, I want it to go down 15, like so. So now we have 1 centimeter on each side, so on the top, on the left and right, which is more or less what we wanted to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and do edit poly on top of this thing. And now I want to select my 3 corners here, and I'm going to do an inset. But before we, actually, you know what? Yeah, we can do this thing. The inset should be by polygon, not by group, or not by selection, or just by polygon. Give it a sizable like this. It's gonna be fine, like so. Okay. All right. So select this thing and ring it. Hit connect. Ring it this way around. Hit connect. Ring it this way around, and hit another connect. Reason for doing this is so I have a really nice 4 square selection over here, and that is going to allow me to select these edges, delete them, and now convert this thing to an editable poly and select all of those borders here. Right click and regularize. This is the script regularize. I've actually used it. I've used this thing multiple times. So if you haven't watched me do this thing, just go ahead and go to YouTube, or not YouTube, but you can go and grab it off from Google. Just write down 3ds Max script regularizer or loop regularizer. You're gonna find this thing. It's very easy to install. I've actually even created videos about it, so you can find it. I'm 100% sure. So now I want to give this thing a bit of a shell, so it has some thickness to it, like so. I want to hit the straighten corners, like so. Okay. So now I can either have this thing extrude outwards a bit more, so it's 1 centimeter like that, or inwards, and that way we no longer do any more protruding outside. We get to this point, like so. All right, so I want to put a turbo smooth on top of this, and I want to put the smoothing groups on. This is going to give me a bit of a, well, screwed up result, but what I can do is on top of the shell, I can put an edit poly, and now I want to isolate this thing as such, and go by angle. Select by angle 15, and select individual sides like that. Press the make, give it its own smoothing group. So those are fine. Okay. Okay. Let's test it out. All right, I can see that my cutouts like here are not perfect because they're not one smoothing group. So in order to fix that, I just want to select all of my edges like that. Ring, hold on Control and hit polygon, and give all of these just one single smoothing group. And this is what happens when you have Turbo Smooth on and you want to, when you have the option for having everything use the smoothing groups, and you give everything one smoothing group, you're going to get a really nice result where you have really nice circles in here. So if I go ahead and increase the Turbo Smooth to, let's say 2, maybe 3, depending on how many you want, you get this really nice sharp look, which is more or less what we want to do. So now what I want to do here is select all of these vertices on both sides, like so. Move them downwards till about there. Now select these, which are going to be across, like so, and move them on the X until they're out of the way. And the last thing to do is move these on the Y. So move it like that. So now what happens here is that we have an actual space in here, which can be filled up with anything that's supposed to be connecting these two together. Just so I make it more easy to see, I'm going to remove this pinkish color, go with something like more gray. And now, of course, nothing is going to be seen. Amazing. Let's go with blue. All right, that's better. So we have this corner here. So now what we want to do is get this thing to all the other corners as well. So easiest way to do this thing, let's see. I'm going to save this thing and go Affect Pivot Only and center this thing in here. And now I want to select this, affect the pivot, and align my pivot. So align to this thing and go pivot to pivot X, Y, Z, which is great. And now hopefully when I go in and put a symmetry on top of this and I flip it, I'm going to have this thing show up on this side as well. Let's check it. Yep. Cut, 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 cut. Everything is fine. Another symmetry would be to go on the Z axis, which is going to put it right here, which is exactly what I wanted. And the third one would be the symmetry on the Y axis, and that is going to put it on this side as well. So edit poly on top of here, and there we go. We got this thing to hold up on all four sides. This corner here is fixed, so now I need to do that same thing that I just did to all the corners. So Affect Pivot Only, pivot to pivot. Let's, instead of going and manually fixing everything, let's just go and use the symmetry again. Flip. All right, that's fine on this side. Symmetry on the Z. All right, so I can, oh, yep, we have this thing working right where I want it there. And the only thing that should be right, actually it's right here as well. All right, awesome. So let's do it here. So it's fine over there. On the bottom, we still have to fix that. So we just need to add in one symmetry on the Z, and that is going to fix that issue right there. So the only thing that we're missing, I'm guessing, is, oh, nope. Symmetry on the Y. Like so. So we have this one, we have this one. The only thing that's missing is this. Affect Pivot. right? And go symmetry on the Z. That is going to fix up this mess. Check this mess. Nope, this one is not fixed. So symmetry on the Y this time around is going to fix that thing. Is going to fix the top, and more or less we have our skeleton for our box right there. Everything's fine. All right, awesome. So what I'm going to do is first of all select everything. I give it a different color so I can actually see what's happening better. All right, so yellow. Ah, Jesus, come on. Just give me a normal color like that. All right, awesome. Edit poly. And when you put on an edit poly and you select the edge, every edge that was added in with the help of a symmetry modifier is going to be selected. So if you don't want to have those edges in here, I'm going to hold down Control and Backspace and remove all of those edges, and then right click and convert to an editable poly. So now what is happening here is we have everything to be the right size. We have the corners, so we can continue creating it more. All right, I'm gonna actually save this. Force a habit. Every time I work on something, I tend to save quite a bit because, well, Max loves to crash. And every time Max decides to crash, usually means, well, pain in the ass. More or less. All right. As I have this thing created like this, what I want to do is, before I can continue on and just call this done, I want to make it simpler because I want to put a chamfer on top of this with a very small amount, like let's say 0.5 on a 0.5 tension. There we go. So now we get nice beams like that. Let's put it here. Chamfer 0.5 at 0.5. Oh yeah, by the way, if anybody would like to pitch in anything or say anything, say hi, feel free and leave a chat comment, as I have no idea how this thing is going to work because I've done some changes for the comment section. So we'll see how this thing works. So chamfer. All right, so again, 0.5 by 0.5. All right, awesome. All right, next thing that we want to do is start creating the rest of the elements for this container house. Now, every container has a few things. The first thing, like here, that I can see is that it has really smart way of reusing the actual container doors. Like now, these container doors that you're seeing here, like the really big open doors, they're the original ones that come from this thing. So if you take a look at just one of the images where we actually have a container, which for some reason is not showing me. All right, let's see. All right, here we go. If you take a look at this image, you're gonna see that this thing here is the door for the container. But before we start actually building the doors, let's just do a quick creation for the wall. For the wall, it shouldn't be that hard because all you can see is that you have metal going all across, and it has a bit of a ridge going on the sides. So let's go ahead and do the ridge. So for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both of these, like so, and create a plane. This plane should be big enough to go inside in here, like so. Just one. We'll edit poly. Okay, now I want this thing to move in there. Moving that thing over there. So on the Y. And move it here on the Y. All right. So now when I take this thing, I can move it inside the wall right here. Like that. All right. So what I want to do now is I want to select these two edges and do a few connects. Now these connects are going to distinguish how many of these bumps we have. So if I go and try something like 75, then we have quite a rich side, which I'm not sure if this is the right amount. So let's try with something slower, like 60. Nah, it doesn't actually matter that much. We can actually go and now just select one, skip one, select one, skip one. I think there is an easier way of doing this type of selection when you're inside the modeling ribbon, but I don't want to chase that option down now, right? Because I'm not sure. I think that works really well when you're selecting edges, but I've had issues when I was selecting polygons, so I kind of tend not to like screw around with that thing like this. So, all right. Now what I'm gonna do is I want to bevel this. So outwards, let's give it about 2 centimeters. No, this is way too little. 5 centimeters with a bevel amount of -2.5, -2.4, or -2.5, like that. All right, this is gonna work. Okay, so what happens here is that now when you select all of these newly created edges, you're going to notice that here we have this this sort of a polygon. We don't want that. We want to select everything like so. Deselect that and delete those. Do the same thing one more time. Select everything. Hold on Alt. Deselect that. Delete those. Now select the bottom edge here. Make it smooth on the Z. Oops. In this case, if it's going to be not going to be Z, it's going to be Y. I always just want to make it planar there. Make it planar on the Y here as well. So now we have a flat surface going all the way up. Let's check it here. If it's in, yeah, it's in. It's inside there as well. All right, awesome. Let's just select everything, give it a small chamfer. Let's try 0.5. Actually, before we do that 0.5, I'm going to deselect the corner ones because I want to have the corner finishing up with that. Chamfer, and again, chamfer of a 0.5. All right. Give it a different color. Great. Now, affect the pivot only, align it to this thing, so pivot to pivot, and just put mirror on the x-axis here as a copy. There you go. Now, let's just name these. So, okay, so this is chamfer. You know what, for now, I'm just going to remove the chamfers from all of these guys. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach all of them together. Call them beams base. Now, if I want to just add in a chamfer, I can just create one, like 0.5, 0.5, like that. And we get that thing done to all of them. But at the same time, I have them all in just one beams base. Now this, I'm going to call this long wall 01. And this is going to be the long wall 02. All right, so corner cubes. Let's give it a different color, like so. All right. Now, next thing I want to do is I want to give this backside a cover like this. And since we already created this, I want to just hold on Shift and create one at 90 degrees like that. Move it backwards. Move in there. Just make sure it's going in. Side here. Just a bit more like that. Here's the thing though. I wanted to not start like that. But here in this case, it's almost starting there, but let's just fix this in a really cheating way. Select everything that we don't like that, and go delete. Select the corner here. Really? There you go. Shift and drag out until it's in the wall like that. Alright, it's clipping inside, so it shouldn't create any problems. Clip this thing inside in here. So this is going to be the back wall. I'll just do this in back wall of 0.1. Alright, awesome. So by having the corners, we have the back, we have everything in here. Next thing we want to do is create the ceiling and the base. Now the base and the ceiling here are going to be probably most of the time covered up, because you're not going to see the floorboards from the actual container, because we're going to have some interior design happening here. So we're probably going to use some either wooden floors or pretty much anything else that's going to make this thing look appealing for the inside. So for now, I just want to select this thing like so and just fill it up with some sort of a box. So go from here. Let's just put it there. Let's see how this thing looks like. That's fine. Edit poly. Move this edge all the way up to the other side, like so. Move this downwards until it's snapping up to this corner, and move this thing down as well. It's snapping to this corner. So now this thing is really flush with our ceiling, and since it's the same thing on both sides, I can do the same thing for the floor. So move it down. On the Z, just snap it at the bottom, like so. call this the floor. And this is going to be the ceiling. All right, and isolate. Okay, so let's give it some different colors. Make this a darker one. Same thing this side. All right, great. All right, we're slowly starting to get there. We're having some creative things happening here. All right, so we have this. Let's save it up. And now start creating the rest of this thing. So what we have here is the base here. I can actually see that we have a bit of an inset on the bottom here, which is an interesting addition. So let's give it that geometry look. So just go in here. Well, on top of the chamfer, just put a poly, select the two in the corners. Go inset, a very small amount, like so. So 1.5. All right. Another inset, but this time a much smaller one, so 0.3. Just so we have that extra supporting geometry. And now bevel this thing in. So minus 1.5 with a 1 or minus 1. All right. So ring this thing on this side. Ring it on this side, connect. Pinch it apart. There we go. And now I can just do this and de-isolate. There we have. We have that lip right there. I think this is more or less where you would be using this thing to load it up on a truck, so it has some sort of a holder to hold it in place. Or it might be something like that. It might be these holes are for that thing. I'm not sure. But again, we have that small detail put in there, so it's going to be nice to have it. Okay, so next thing I want to do is I'm going to create my doors. So for the doors, as I can see, they have this hinge type of mechanism. So it kind of hinges up on this piece of metal here. So I'm guessing this thing has a rod inside, and on that rod, this thing can pivot around. And then we have the actual doors, and you have these locks for the doors. So it's going to be interesting to create this thing. All right. Well then, let's start by creating this corner piece here. Let me just save it up. And I do say again, if anybody is like listening in here and just like watching it, feel free and leave a comment, and I will try to converse with you, and maybe you have some ideas on how we can do more things. All right, so isolate this thing. Well, before I do this, I want to see where. All right, so it's on this side. All right, awesome. Put a plane from the top to the bottom. like that. And the poly and the isolate. This thing needs to go all the way down to where this box ends. And this one ends. Shift, drag it outwards. There we go. In this case, it doesn't have to go all the way down there. It just needs to get to about there. And here for this one. Oops, wait a second. Is this okay? Yeah, that's fine. I'm going to chamfer this a bit so we have a bit of a curve there. There we go. Put a shell. 0 by 1. Make sure string coordinates is on. Alright, we have this thing. Alright, now move it inwards so it's a bit more flush. Like so. Awesome. Hey, Funpack, what up? Oh, now we got 2 people commenting. That's fine. Yeah, man, feel free and leave your comments. It's always better when I'm like conversing with people because I get more ideas and stuff. So, yeah, feel free to enjoy the comments and feel free to leave it as well, you know? Because what's the point of streaming live if nobody's going to be entertaining anything that I do? It's like, it's fun talking to myself, but it's much more fun when I'm talking to people. And maybe you get more ideas and maybe you get some critics or, I don't know. We'll see. That was the whole idea about this streaming live thing. I want to get in touch with people so we get more ideas coming in. So it's a bit more fun for me as well. All right, so next thing that I want to do is add in the actual hinges. So 1, 2, 3, 4 hinges. There we go. So I'm gonna go edit poly for this thing. Oh, and by the way, I've actually never modeled this. So if I fuck up on something, it's gonna be first time for me as well. So 4 hinges. Yeah, no worries, man. It's gonna be uploaded back on YouTube so you can watch the start, but it really didn't, not much happened. Just like modeling, simple box modeling for modeling a box in this case, which is kind of silly, but still. So chamfer this. For the chamfer, let's try with 10 centimeters. Yep, I think 10 centimeters is gonna be fine. In this case though, alright, so I'm going to select those 2, move them on the Z axis for another like 15 centimeters, 15, alright, so it's going to be down 30, oh hell no, so in this case negative 30, negative 15, alright, this is going to be better. Alright, so we have more or less made the place where we're going to have those cut-ins. Now what I want to do is go in here like that, make one connect, just one, like that, isolate this thing. And in here, let's see if I can do it this way. I want to select that one, that one, and that one. And delete. So now cap, Connect those. Connect those. Okay, there we go. So it's gonna work this way just fine. I thought I was gonna have to turn the corner, but not really. Let's just select the border. Cap. Connect. Oh yeah, by the way, I wanted to talk to you guys and ask you what days would you like to have the stream be available. My initial idea was to have the streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but in this week it's gonna be Tuesday and Saturday because, well, Thursday happens to be my birthday, and I'll be damned if I'm gonna stream on my birthday. So yeah, there we go. That's not yet. Thursday, in 2 days. There we go. Copy that. Copy that like so. And de-isolate. Okay, so we have the hinges for this thing. Well, this is a premature happy birthday from both of you, so thank you very much, but it's still not my birthday. It's gonna be on Thursday. So that's why I'm not gonna be streaming on Thursday. Hopefully by then though, tomorrow not tomorrow, but today when I finish up this stream, I've been like prepping up a tutorial that I was kind of hoping to have finished yesterday, put it up on YouTube, and then put up this stream from today, but Max being maxed, well, let's just say that it decided to crash and just screwed up everything that I was doing. So yeah. Hey, you like how I work the hinges? Well, it's just a regular box modeling, nothing to it. If we put on a chamfer in this thing, so it can hold up a bit more on the corners. So let's put a 0.2 like that. On a 0.5. We can get away with this thing depending on how we want to do it. But since I'm gonna want to actually transfer later on when we get to that point, I'm gonna want to transfer this thing to Unreal. I want to keep it so it's Ngan free. So for now, I'm gonna just leave it like this. Oh, your wife takes a birthday week? Holy crap. I don't know, man. I'm not much of a birthday guy, so to me, birthdays are just days. There you go. Effect pivot only. Just put it there. Pivot to pivot. Fine. That's okay. And go to symmetry on the x-axis. Just whoa, hell no. Wrong. Why is this thing? No. Really? Okay. Alright, so we have that hinge on both sides now. Okay. I can work with that. Let me just save it one more time. Oh, by the way, I wanted to ask you guys, how's the music this time around? I had some comments about the music being too low last time. So I just like, from 4% we went up to like, I don't know, 7% on the music loudness. I'm just doing my best to have some music happening in the background without being too much of an interference. Alright, so this thing. Alright, for the hinges for now, I'm going to leave it as it is because I want to create the doors. But we'll create the hinge as soon as we're done with the door. And goddammit, I just close it. Okay. Alright, doesn't matter. All right, so for the doors, what I know for a fact is that it's a plane that goes from this side to this side. So anti-isolate, rotate around 180 degrees. Yeah, that's my idea as well. Anything louder than this would probably be a nuisance. Oh, wait a second though. This might be a bit of a snag on my behalf because I just noticed something that, oh yeah, this door actually comes all the way up to the corners. This is interesting. Okay, all right, we'll fix it, no worries. So put this thing as another poly and snag it up to there. Snag it up to there as well. And snap it up on the y-axis right there. Okay, so like every single door in the world, when you close it or when you open it, it kind of goes to the middle. So that means just put in one connect in the middle like that. And this should give us an idea of how thick or how big these doors are supposed to be. Now, if I take a look at this thing, wait a second, you have a large building with the walls and the same, but your solution is windows and precise waves. So you use textures. I didn't like. Any chance you can like leave me a link or something like reference image? Because I'm not sure how I would have done it though. Yeah, just leave a link in here so I can open it up. By the way, the reason why I'm like creating the walls like this is so that, yeah, don't worry about the explanation. The reason for creating it like this is so I can make this thing modular. So the reason for making it modular is that when we later on put it back into Unreal so we can get a really nice walkthrough, we can switch them around on the fly. Because see, the thing about these boxes or the shipping containers is when you're building a house with these, if you just put one down like it is, it's a very like, it's not a small container, but it's a very narrow container. So what they do is they select the they don't select anything, but they take two of these and then they just go ahead and snap them one next to the other like so. So let's do a copy. I want to just make these transparent. And now if you want to get a bit more, why am I just doing this to myself? They want to get more inside here, they just delete those two. And all of a sudden you get all of this room inside the containers, which is a very, very big container. So now let's select everything here. What I don't want to do is I don't want to go ahead and Control Z when I'm deleting stuff, because like I said, yesterday Max had a fiesta on crashing when I was Control Z on creating new stuff. I just don't want it to crash again. Alright, so save. Alright, so now with this, for the door, I can see that I have this cover here, which is on the corners, which what tells me is that I can select both of these. I can inset them by polygon by a small amount, like let's say 2 centimeters. And now detach this not as a clone, but actually detach it. And what this is going to allow me is to take whatever is left off, like what is here, and put a shell on top of this thing, like so, maybe 1 centimeter. Select the inner door, push it inwards. Okay. So now what happens here is we have this thing as a different color, and this thing is a different color. All right. This can go around. For now, I'm actually going to leave it up like this, even though it's going to be just a placeholder. Later on, when I'm going to decide what sort of a isolation for this thing I'm going to have, I'm going to go in and just model up the rest. For now, I just want to have a place where I just go in and put in everything that I'm missing. So next thing is, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so here I have these bars, or like insets, so it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Interesting thing is that they kind of coincide where all of these thing goes, like all the hinges are going. So I was kind of thinking that maybe they have some sort of a bar going from the left to the right, but I don't think that's the case though. So let's just go ahead and create 1, 2, 3, 4 connections. So connect 1, 2, 3, 4, like so. Now in here, chamfer. Let's say 13 centimeters, like so. All right. I'm going to isolate this so you can see it better. Great. Select this thing and this thing. Connect. Just 2. Pinch them outwards to about 65. And just 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Bevel in. So this time around -5 with -2. All right. Not really. Means that these are gonna have to be something like this. So scale them downwards by 50%. All right, much closer. Although I think that these two should move a bit upwards. So select everything. Move them on the z-axis for, let's say, 15 centimeters. Like that. Select everything down here. Move them z -15. All right, that's gonna work. All right, let's try and do a quick chamfer. If this thing works, fine. If not, I'm gonna have to like manually do it, which I think this is gonna have to be done manually. But chamfer does not actually like to work this way. Well, actually, you know what? This might work. So let's just try and do a quick cut from there to there. Let's try to fix those quick. All right, one there, another one there. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. God damn it. No. No, no. I'm not going to use the chamfer for this. I'm going to select these two edges, connect, outwards, 97. All right, it's fine. Connect. Two, 3, 4, 5. Connect. All right. So now when I go in and I put a turbo smooth, I should have a goddamn problem in here. So run 2, 3, 4. All right, ring, connect. All right, faster, cool. All right, yep. So now if I put a turbo smooth on top of this, there we go. We get cleaner results. I think that I might be missing an edge right here because I can see some of the screw-ups. Yep, missing an edge right there. 1, 2, 1, 2, ring, connect, okay. That is going to hold out that edge right. There we go. Real clean, crisp look. There we go. Just turn on the turbo smooth before we do that. Just put a shell. This shell should be 0 here, but let's try 0 minus 3. Minus 3. 3. All right. So we have this thing happening like so. With the thickness that we just added in for this thing, what we're going to do is on top of here, just add in 2 more edges on the new corner that we just created. So 2 segments. Like that. And now when we turn on the turbo smooth, it should give us a really nice result all across. There we go. So now we can open up this thing. There we go. All right, save again. All right, we created that thing. We do have this black outline, or at least we have a place where that thing is supposed to go, like which is going to be this thing as a placeholder. I'm not sure if this is going to be like this, but what I can do from this thing is I can extrapolate where this thing goes. What I mean by this is I can add a poly and ring on that edge, hit and connect, and in here just created this line. So from here I can go and create the shape, make it a linear one, click OK, and with this shape that we just created, I'm going to make it radial. All right, let's do the same thing here. So connect, create shape, linear, like that. Since it's a radial one, it's more in line with what I'm seeing here, because I can see it kind of has a lip on this thing. I'm guessing this is so it kind of creates an airtight bubble. So let's go and create this thing to 2 centimeters, like so. Make this thing 2 as well. And de-isolate. Isolate them like this. move it in like so. You have a different color. I prefer when I'm working, I want to have things to be more with dark colors. All right, so this is more in line with what I'm seeing here. Probably not the final version, but for now I want to have stuff as placeholders because I wasn't really happy with how this thing looked like previous, but this is a bit better now. So now the only thing that I'm missing are the hinges and the actual lock mechanism. So let's quickly create the hinge. It shouldn't be really that complicated because from what I'm seeing here, it's just a simple cylinder with an extender for holding the door. So now I do know where the cylinder or what the size for the cylinder is supposed to be. The size is going to be this big. So actually, you know what? I'm going to go from here. All right, like that. Oh, hell no. This is way too small. Alright, let's control this thing. I don't need height segments 5, so let's remove that. Radius a bit bigger. A thicker hinge because let's just think logically. This hinge is actually supposed to have the structural capacity to hold the weight of this entire like metal door. So my guess is that if it's supposed to be this thick, this only means that this thing in here should have been a bit thicker as well. So what I can do quickly here without screwing up with my modeling that I did in the shell is I can select my angle, this whole thing like that, and push it outwards. Let's say another like 2 centimeters or 3 centimeters. Oh Jesus, no. Okay, this will not work that way. All right, screw it. I'll fix it up later then. Just want to add in the hinge. I don't need 18 sides for this. Let's try 12. A bit well, looking at this thing now, what I can notice is that the hinge size is a tad bit too big, which is something that I can easily fix, but for now I'm just going to leave it as it is because we're not following any particular size. So for now, just leave it up like that. All right, so connect, which is 2 segments, pinch them around, pinch them apart like that, and go 1, 2. Yeah, man, glad to be here. It's a fun world. It's a world where when you're modeling, yeah, you know, when you're modeling stuff, especially when you're 3D modeling stuff and everything goes to shit, everything gets screwed up. When you're doing it in a tutorial for YouTube, you can just like pause the video, vent, throw stuff around. And when you're doing it in, live, well, you gotta vent somewhere else. You gotta just do it here. So every fuck up that I do is actually gonna be on video. But yeah, man, if you're new at streaming, welcome to the world of streaming as well. Although, what are you streaming at? Are you streaming 3D? Let's bevel this thing up. Height. Oh shit, no. Okay. Like this. Mostly coding. Alright. Coding, the only thing that I've done with coding was a while back. I got the main idea that I was gonna start learning a bit of coding, so I followed a tutorial. It was just It was a tutorial on how to make the most simplest hello world thing, that console that prints out hello world. I decided to make it say hello bitches, and that was as far as my coding career went. Yeah, man, I do agree. Every time somebody fucks up, I would actually love to watch a YouTube channel where people are gonna show up the fuck ups and how to fix a fuck up, because most of the time that you're gonna spend is trying to find how to fix a particular fuck up that is screwing up with your workflow. Like, that is how you learn. You learn through fuck ups. Mainly, one of the main reasons why I kind of decided to start doing the streams is so people can give me some ideas on what to create. Because when I'm like modeling stuff for work, it's always things that I cannot show. When I'm modeling stuff for YouTube, for tutorials, it's mainly, well, things that I can like model and then spend some time, do the prep, right, record, and then when I'm doing the model, everybody thinks that I don't screw up, which is a huge misconception. Everybody screws up. Well, the thing is that I'm gonna try to focus on things that are gonna be more, well, not more, but less consuming. Like, if I do streams when I'm gonna be, like, explain stuff for how to do renders, and then I have to like press render and wait for like 10 or 15 minutes, people are really not gonna stick around just waiting for the render to like pass around. Yeah, but Corpus, man, you said that you're doing coding. I think that yeah, he just said it. The fun pack said that he needs a way to change the lux unit to food candle units when using the V-Ray light meter. Any chance that you might know how to do that thing? Alright, so go to bridge this thing around. Okay, that's fine. Nope, just as I thought. See, this is the great thing about going live on this stuff. You get to talk to people. You get to talk to people live, and you get to ask them questions, and maybe I get to learn something new as well. There we go, that's fine. Alright, so for now, well, actually, you know what? I'm not going to do this thing this way. I'm going to do it the easier way. The easier way is going to be turbo smooth this thing with smoothing groups. And now angle it up. 45, it's fine. Alright, 45 is fine. Angle off. Alright, so make this thing one smoothing group. Make this another smoothing group. Third smoothing group. Fourth. Inside one. One. Alright, turbo smooth. There we go. Easy as pie. So 2. What the hell is this? Why are you giving me this shit? Nah. This is more or less fine like that. Aha. All right, move this thing. To the corners. How about there? Oh no, 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 not gonna do that. All right, this is fine. So make this a copy right there. Turn on goddamn turbo smooth. Do this later. Ah, damn it. No, 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 no. All right, so select this thing, and this thing. Isolate. And now I want to get both of these down here. Move it right about there. It's going to be close, like so. All right. Yeah. Now attach. Dark. And isolate. Now do this thing on the other side, so move it right there. Mirror it on this side as a copy. Alright, great. We have that thing done. Alright, we got that thing done as well. So I'm happy with how this thing looks. At least we have these things as placeholders for now. Later on, depending on how much details we want to have, we might change these. But for now, I'm going to leave them like that. So the bottom is fine. Great, 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 great. All right, what is this now? All right, so this is how this thing is being locked up. So I'm guessing it has to be a, yep, there we go, a handle. And there is a rod inside this cylinder, which kind of locks up right there. All right, let's create this thing. So just get the door out. Now for this, first thing I'm gonna save, because I really don't want it to screw up anything. Alright, so for this, let's start off with the cylinder. I'm going to start with creating this thing here for whatever this sort of a holder is. So a cylinder, auto grid, so I'm going to snap it up in here. Alright, turn on the damn auto grid now. Alright, edit poly. Oh, what the hell? Alright, select all of this. What is happening here now is I'm going to select this thing, move it up front. Move, copy this, bridge Cap. Connect. Connect. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Move it in. Go symmetry in the Z. Jesus, God damn it. Here we go. Edit poly. Move it inwards. Well, no, don't do it that way. Alright, so it's gonna have 2 of those. Hey, what up, Free W67? Waves, hello back to you, man. I'm actually happy by having people that are actually commenting this time around. Last time it was the only guy that was around was the fun pack. Now we got more people jumping in, sharing stuff. Hopefully next time I do a stream, we get more people that are going to be like pitching in ideas. Well, yeah, man. I've been doing videos on YouTube for like, what, 3.5 years now? And, well, for me, it's fun. I enjoy doing them. And one of the things that I enjoy even more is when I can actually interact with people. I love teaching. Like, I've done it in a university, I've done it in a college, I've done it in a private setting, I've done it all around. And generally, I love talking to people. And that is why I decided to, like, bring it on to YouTube and help more people, you know. And this way, by doing the streaming live, I get to be more in contact with people that they can ask me questions or they can give me ideas. Because one thing that I've learned is that the more people that are like feeding you ideas, the better the end product is going to be. Because like I said in the previous stream, I can do the modeling. Pretty much anything that you can see, I can probably model it until it's, unless it's something like really complex geometrically speaking that I need to know how that thing was created. But I can create it, whatever the geometry is. The problem is when you have to like get everything sorted and designed. That is where I kind of lack a bit. I hate designing. I've always been kidding around that been saying that women make better designers. So yeah, I suck at design. There you go. Move that thing down. All right, we have the base for this. Now I just need to have a few more holders. That holder is going to be run there and there. Detach as a clone. Scale it inwards like that. Move it to the center of the screen. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. When I have to create stuff out of thin air, well, nothing good comes out of it. Yeah, man. Anything goes. Like, if you can tell me like what sort of a house would you like to build out of this thing. Like at the moment, right now, I'm building the building blocks for this. But later, once I have the base built up, we're gonna have to find a design for the house. Like what sort of a house is gonna be? Like who's gonna live in it? What sort of rooms are there gonna be in it? Like how big of a family is gonna live in it? Because all of these things slowly are like bringing in life into this creation. Like depending on what sort of a family lives in here, that is the sort of houses we're gonna have to create. Depending on the number of residents in this thing, it's going to require a certain let's just call it a certain size, or how many rooms this thing is going to have, stuff like that. What I had in mind initially when I was like going through all of the reference images, there was one, I think it was, let me see if I saved that one. Let's go over, really? I didn't save that one? Oh yeah, something similar to this. Like I liked this design, mainly because it kind of incorporates two building ways. What we can do is I can put in one container on the side, or maybe even two containers on this side, then have a small patio in the middle, and then put a different one on this side, or maybe cover it up with another container up on top, and then have something like a small balcony in here, covered up by something like this, because this looks fancy as fuck, if you're asking me. I love this because it has so much life into it, because you can take this whole middle part in here and make it into like a living room, and all of these rooms on the sides can have a different like variety rooms. You can have a kitchen in one of those, you can have the sleeping room, you can have a children's room, you can do pretty much anything. This is for us. This is for the community. This is basically me trying to like create something out of scratch. And I want to create it in that manner that it's going to like give a lot of people a more leeway look into how things are being created from nothing. And when I'm finished up with this, I want to have a really nice looking design. Looking like when you're looking at the design, I want to have a nice looking design for a house, but at the same time use a lot of modeling techniques and later on even rendering techniques and rendering techniques so that I can take everything that we learned from doing this live stream and put it up into the very first, which is going to end up being a premium tutorial. I'm going to try and make a really descriptive and detailed rendering and modeling and importing and everything tutorial, and put it out so people can watch it in a manner that was like made for tutorial. Because you're probably going to end up seeing everything inside the live streams, but not everybody has a lot of like time to spend on just watching all the live streams and like listening to me going on rambling about different stuff. So if you're going to be watching all of these live streams, you're probably going to see me do all of this on stream. But if you cannot, like if you don't have the time, I'm probably in the end I'm going to get everything down to an actual tutorial, and we'll see how much time it takes me to render it or just like record it. Because one thing I've learned is that when you're recording video, it kind of tends to take quite a bit of time. Like every video that you see that I put up on YouTube that takes about like 20 or 30 minutes, in reality it takes me about 3 to 4 hours. Yeah, man, I'm gonna take all the streams and make cliff notes of the video, but the thing here is that all of these streams are going to be available on YouTube for free. Yeah, man. I've been I've been thinking about creating some premium tutorials, but every time I like go over that way of thinking, what happens is I go like, well, I can make the premium thing, make some money, and then a little voice in the head goes like, yeah, but why don't you just make it for free? And that kind of voice kind of prevails, you know. So all the stuff you see in there is for free, more or less. So let's see. Yeah, you know, food is expensive, bills are expensive, all that stuff. But then again, I do projects on the side, so I work, and that kind of pays for the stuff. And this has been something that I've been doing because I love it. And getting paid for stuff you love kind of makes it into a job, and yeah, well, it is what it is. I may be, as a guy once said, you're dumb. I shouldn't be saying this thing, but he said, you're a dumb cunt for not charging for your premium stuff because you have high quality. I tend to disagree. I was like, yeah, you know, people may not be able to like, people may not be able to pay for premium stuff, and I do want to see people learn stuff, so hence the free stuff. Yeah, you see, I know that there are gobs of free tutorials online, and it is hard to justify paying for a tutorial, but I can tell you one thing for a fact. I've spent a lot of money on tutorials, and some of the best things that I've learned came from a guy that you paid money for. And the reasoning for this is very, very simple, and it's actually more psychological than anything. The thing is, whenever you go inside your pocket and you pay money for something, you tend to be a lot, and I do mean a lot more focused on what you're learning because you know that you've paid for it. So you try to get as much worth for your money as possible. There we go. Shell. I might be wrong though. We'll see. So chamfer. Chamfer again. 1, 2, 3. All right, so I guess this thing can work like so, but now loop. Oh, hell no. 3. Loop. All right, zoom in here. Fix up these with a connect. There we go. Oh, by the way, what do you guys do for work? Which field in 3D are you guys in? Let's get that thing done. Oh, racing simulator. That's fun. Okay, let's give it a black color. There we go. Oh, there's only 2 of these. All right, nice. Go on the X, Y, Z, X. Interesting, nice. Okay. Well, you know, 3D artist for a racing simulator. Are you creating the cars? Or are you doing the coding? Props and buildings. This is a fun thing though. The reason for me saying that this is a fun thing is mainly for something that I've been working on a bit. Let me see. I don't think I'm gonna get into trouble for showing you this, but that's okay. This is a different thing that I've done. Built on top of a. This is the low poly, built on top of a really high poly. I'm not sure I can show you the high poly, but this one goes in the game. Yep. Now this is the SS Camaro. Let me see if I can find another one. Now here's the tricky part when you're streaming live. You're not sure what you're allowed to show and what you're not allowed to show, which is going to be a bit of a All right, let's see. This is the 2125. Here's another one. Oh, this is a 1969, I think. And this is the new one, the Dodge Ram. Again, this is a game-ready model. This was this was fun to model. And the funny thing is that you can see we have all of those interior lights modeled in. We have the lights for the headlamp. Everything here is in for this car. So yeah, this was a interesting project to model. Yeah, but back to our container. See, this is the sort of stuff that I cannot really like go ahead and show off. Usually, when working on projects like that, they tend to stick them behind an NDA, and that kind of sucks. All right, so yeah, I don't know, man. When it comes to cars is how I first started in 3D. I remember the very first car that I kind of felt drawn in, where I started creating 3D stuff for, was the Mustang. I think it was a 2005 Mustang or 2006 Mustang. I think that was the very first car I ever tried to like model. It came out shit, but still, I was like learning back then. It was fun. It was fun. It's basically what drew me into like modeling. It's what drew me towards hard surface modeling. A Fiat 500 tutorial. Fiat 500. Wait, aren't those like those funny little Italian cars? Yeah, let me see. Yeah, man, I know these cars. Shit, I think I've modeled one of these way back. Although the one that I modeled was something like this one. Although I think that the newer one, it's much more like modern look, but these old ones have more. Yeah, there was no YouTube then. Everything that you were learning on the go. It was fun though. It was fun. These cars and shit. Yeah, I remember. I've modeled this. Dude, back then it was hard even to find like reference images. Hell, it was. Internet was expensive back then. Hell. All right. So what I have so far is for the container. From what I can see, I have the actual body of the container. We have the hinges for the lock, we have the door. So it's gonna be interesting to finish up this thing. So next time when I continue like modeling this stuff, I'm gonna probably start thinking about how to do or add in more doors, more windows, then start thinking about adding in some panels for the window, for panels for the walls. And well, we'll see. We'll start slowly putting up the whole scene together. And streaming, I am kind of hoping that I can stick to about 2 times a week. Like I said, this week I'm doing Tuesday and Saturday, but I'm gonna say it right now, I'm not 100% sure about this Saturday, but I will try my best to do it on Saturday. But I will try to do it Tuesday and Thursday, so 2 days a week. And this Thursday, I'm not doing it because it just happens to be my birthday on Thursday, and I probably am gonna have to do some other stuff. But yeah, I will try my best to stick to at least 2 times a week, provided that people do start coming in more and you know, start sharing more ideas. Because when it comes down to like creating stuff for the interior, pretty sure it's gonna have more modeling. Like people are gonna probably ask me to create some screwed up chair or some weird looking tables or weird looking seatings or whatever. But hey, we're gonna learn. I'm gonna find a way to do it, and it's gonna be fun. Anyways, we're nearing about 6 p.m., which is about 2 hours since we started the stream. I would love logo on YouTube video. I know. Yeah. Well, I'll see if I can find a way to like inform people better when I'm starting to like stream. But I will put more like information around. Like the first time that I was streaming, which was like last week, the only guy around here was the Fun Pack, and he's here again. So he's 2 on 2. so far. This time around we get more people like watching. It's like 5 people watching, jumping in with comments, which is amazing if you ask me. I love that thing. And the more people that pitch in, this thing is going to be more fun for me and more fun for you guys. And well, hopefully we're going to have some more things to do, because when I'm just like sitting here talking to myself, it's not really that much fun. But yeah. All right, I'll cut the stream here. I would like to thank everybody that came in here and shared your thoughts, gave me some ideas, gave me comments. It's really appreciated. And yeah, thanks to everybody for coming in one more time, and have a great week, everybody. And I will see you in Saturday if you join me for the stream. And before that happens, I will see if I can finish up the video tutorial that I was working on yesterday and have it up for you guys up on YouTube by tomorrow. If not, well then, I'll get to it when I get to it. Right, one more time, thank you everybody, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.